hold space for your darkness, a first responder mental health podcast hosted by me, Erin Jane, where we have conversations about what it's like to perform a first responder role and the mental health challenges that can accompany it. Hello and welcome to another episode of I Will Hold Space for Your Darkness, a first responder mental health podcast. I'm your host, Erin Jane, and today I am joined by Kable Martinez. Chris is a US Army Ranger veteran and former National Guard member. He is recently retired after a 24-year career in law enforcement, having served with the Hialeah Police Department and Miami Gardens Police Department down in Florida, including roles as a SWAT team member. He's an athlete, a personal trainer, a mindset and life coach, a motivational speaker, a mental health and wellness advocate, especially for those in the veteran and first responder communities. And he's a soon-to-be published author of the book, The Calm Warrior, which is breathwork practices for mental resilience. So I'm very excited to have a conversation with Chris today. Thank you so much for joining me.
No, thank you for having me.
No, this is lovely. So Chris, we have so many wonderful things to cover, but I'd sort of like to take you back and just ask you a little bit about your military experience and talk about sort of why you joined the Army and wanted to be a Ranger and all that kind of thing.
I was graduating high school, and then my mom said, you either got to go to college or go to, the military, and I ended up choosing the military path,
Yeah.
And then while there, I was very fortunate to have like some squared away amazing drill sergeants. One was a Ranger, and he was a former RI, Ranger instructor. And then my other drill instructor was SF, and he got tagged to be on the trail. The trail being, drill sergeant duty.
Yeah.
So it's like I had two amazing role models. And I came from Miami with that street mentality, it was like that bebop off the road kind of deal. And I remember my senior drill sergeant Wright. He was the one that was a former Ranger instructor and everything. And he had these crystal blue eyes. He was big, tall, American dude, pale skin, but he had a voice like this. And and I remember him telling me once where he was like, you're a stud in PT, you're this, people like listen to you. He goes, but you're a waste. You're wasting your leadership talent. You got people that look up to you and stuff. So it was just like, you should challenge yourself. And that resonated with me, and then after that I followed airborne school. And then after that, I was assigned to the 82nd Airborne. And then while being there is when I was, very fortunate to end up going to the Scouts. I tried out for the Scouts, which is the reconnaissance element. And there, with Army Sniper School, stuff like that. And I got used to like small unit tactics stuff. Okay. And then I was very fortunate to have gotten sent to Ranger School. So that was an experience. So,
I bet. And it sounds like that instructor really sort of hit you between the eyes because he could see the potential in you maybe that you couldn't see in yourself at that time.
Most definite. And God has a way of putting people in our paths.
Very much so.
To check us and stuff.
And so what sort of like time frame are we talking? Is this sort of like pre 9/11, post 9/11? When
this was way pre 9/11. I mean, I'm 48 years young.
Yes, that's all right. Hey, and, I just knocked into my 40s a couple of months ago, so I'm right there too. Don't you worry.
And I literally went in 95 and got out in 99. ETS in 99. 95 just turned 96. So yeah. Mm-hmm. And then 9/11 hit. Yeah. And then I was already a police officer, and I started the academy towards the end of 99. Mm-hmm. Never wanted to be a police officer. Never, ever. I mean, people that know me from my youth were like, "You're a cop."
Like what?
And what happened was I ended up, meeting a woman who's my wife now. When I got out of the military, going on 25 years, wow. Or 25, 1 plus, mm-hmm. And then She got pregnant, and then I needed a job. I was working at a gym, and so next thing you know, I ended up hearing about Hialeah Police from a friend. I'm like, where? And that's in Dade County. You know, we have Dade, Broward, and Monroe County. And all that.
Yeah.
So I've been a 305 Dade County boy my whole life. Never ventured out into Broward, whatever. And I'm like, where's that? Is that Broward? And they're like, nah, man, Hialeah's a third world country. You know? And predominantly Latin Americans and everything, such as, you know, myself with the background. But I never heard of it. And I went and I applied, and how I always believe now that God has a purpose, I was hired in 3 weeks. And you being a former law enforcement, what are the chances of a person getting hired in 3 weeks?
It's normally much more of a process than that. I know for me it was like a 12-month process, I want to say. So yeah.
Typically 6-12 months, sometimes even longer if there's a freeze. So I ended up becoming a cop, and that's even especially after like when Hurricane Andrew hit down here years ago. I was looting. I was a looter. And I
It's
remember I was
quite the turnaround for you then.
Oh, you have no idea. That's why my friends were shocked. I was like running with gang members, you know, not in a gang affiliate, but you know, they were my boys. So they fought. I'm a fight with them, you know. So I was like the bad seed, you know. So, but the military helped change, and if not for that military background, it would not have led me to be a police officer. And both I never wanted to do. My father was former military. My brother ended up going to the military just prior to me, and I was like, okay. But I never wanted it. And then God blessed me with the opportunities of, you know, accomplishing what I was blessed to accomplish in the military. And then becoming a police officer, which I used to make fun of them. I used to call them every names and everything. And and go figure, I ended up getting into it, and I fell in love with it.
Yeah. But sometimes it can be a person like you, like you're saying, with like not going in as I don't know if like they call them the same thing here, but you know, going as like a true believer, you know, thinking that you're gonna go in and change the world and all that kind of thing. Whereas I feel like maybe, like you're saying, you coming from that community, you're actually like more of an asset, because you can see how, you know, sometimes people in a certain demographic or population see you, and you're like, no, I know what you think of me, and I'm gonna like prove you wrong and be like, we're not all fucking assholes. We're not like, you know, we're not out to get you. We actually are just trying to do a job, and I'm gonna show you that it's possible.
Yeah, I never forget where I came from, you know, growing up. I grew up in government housing when I lost my father, with the brick of cheese. Those who know, they know all about that. I grew up with that, you know.
I swear to God, my husband talks about that block of cheese too.
Right, they make the best blue cheese sandwiches. I'm telling you, because you can cut them thick, you know. So, but I grew up like that, so I never forgot where I came from, who I was. But then again, growing up in the streets, I know when somebody's trying to play me or to mean mug me, or we call it grilling, when they would have to go teach, and they're like, I'm like, yeah, I'm not the one. I'm not the one to go there, man. You know, I know what you're doing. And I still had like that bebop attitude from the street in a way, but I was fair. I was fair. And if I could help somebody, I was gonna help them. I like we said, we have discretion. You know?
Yeah.
And I exercised that to the fullest. Sometimes supervisors didn't like that because, you know, my heart a lot were for young kids and for the older people. You know, but if you're a piece of you know what, and you want disrespect after I'm trying to be a certain way, hey, you're gonna treat me the way I'm gonna treat you.
Yeah.
You know,
100%.
so.
Yeah, no, it's and that's the thing, and it comes along with, you know, a role in law enforcement. There's the good and the bad, and there's the discretion, and the sometimes you're like, man, I hate that I have to do this, but it's part of my job. So there's the highs and lows, and those really like vast, you know, juxtapositions of, you know, just all part of the role, really. And so you said, I think that you served with Hialeah for 8 years, was it?
8 years, and then I went over to Miami Gardens Police, because of the money. You know what I mean? They just started the agency in 2008. Great sign-on bonus. Literally, I was already maxed out. We didn't have a contract with Hialeah yet, and I was at a certain amount as an officer. I'll say I was like 56,000 maxed out.
Yeah.
Already. And I'm having a wife with 3 kids. You know, that's in Miami, Florida. can't really afford much there. It's like
Yeah.
living off duties. I was working like 6 days a week, sometimes 7, just to pay the bills.
Yeah.
And then they offer, it was like a 12,000 signing bonus, take home car off the rip, and we didn't have a take home car.
Yeah.
Off duties galore that were paying off duties back then with Hialeah were 21. Here they were $33. So
Jesus,
that's a
that's
drastic
very
jump.
impactful. Yeah,
And
massively
then
so.
my salary went from what an officer makes in Hialeah, which I was maxed out for this, to like what a lieutenant was making in Hialeah.
Wow.
So yeah,
Yeah.
so I had to make the jump even though I didn't want to.
Yeah.
And it was a lesson learned on after those experiences later in life. I realized I will never base a decision off of money ever again, because Hialeah, I loved working there. I was a different person. I was more happy, more like the clown that I normally am. That I know a lot of you viewers who follow me on Instagram are like, I don't see this personality.
Yeah.
Trust me, guys. I'm gonna start showing it more. But yeah. When I changed more there, going there, and not purposely, um, and yeah. So guys, if you listen, don't ever make a decision based off money, man. Ever.
Yeah.
Happiness and peace. That's where it's at. But
And
you live and learn.
Yeah, but look, you're not the first, and you certainly would never be the last person to be enticed by, that financial gain. And I sort of look at it as well, like you're trying to be a good provider, and that says something about you as a person. You're like, you know what, this actually kind of goes against my grain, and you can kind of perhaps like understand the reasoning about it now in hindsight more so than you could back then. But yeah, like you're saying, you had a wife and 3 children. You're
And
presented this opportunity. Who wouldn't take it?
yeah, and I believed in just, you know, she could. It wasn't you're gonna be a stay at home wife. No, it was none of that. It was basically, the opportunity. Hey, she has a master's in psychology from University of Miami.
Wow.
And uh, but we decided that it would be best
Yep.
for, like, if I'm busting my butt, working my butt off, she could be there for at least one's gonna be there for the kids.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And I commend her for that, because being a stay-home mom, you can't pay somebody enough for that. And I'm being serious.
I wish
That's
they
my
would,
whole heart.
but
You cannot, and that's the part that gets me. Yet the government, and yeah, look, those little tweak in there. The government could pay people all these things, whatever, and all this stuff, but yet a stay-home mom who's actively involved, making sure they do their I-readies and their homework assignments, taking them and picking them up to school, all that stuff, being involved in the PTAs like an active mom. Why can't the government pay them even a minimum wage salary for that? They're giving out this money for free to everybody else. It doesn't even work, correct?
Yeah.
The stay-home moms, and even, I don't know if they're stay-home dads, but even if they're stay-home dad, but a stay-home parent, the government, I feel, should pay them for that, because they cannot even pay them enough. I mean, we don't get paid enough in law enforcement, nor the military, first responders in general.
No.
But a stay-at-home mom, that's a challenging job. And then on top of that, this is my opinion, and it's a saying: you think it's hard being a police officer, you think it's hard being in the military, try being the spouse of one of those, and then make that a stay-at-home person. It's not, you know that you law enforcement. Then on top of that, now you're married to a first responder over 20 years. Well, this guy sees stuff. He's a firefighter, that. But I think that's what helps him here, that he's able to talk to you and he has that support system. But not a lot of men, not a lot of women in the career fields are blessed to have that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, like I definitely hope that I provide that for him, and look, I mean, our situation was sort of similar. Like I came over here from Australia, and yeah, like I could have, and like I did work for a suicide prevention, a crisis counseling organization for a couple of years, but we had kids. And it's like, yeah, we could, shove them in daycare, which is a perfectly good option. And lots of people do it and they have to in this country. But for us, my husband works really hard. He works 2 jobs to provide. And like you're saying with you and your wife, like it is finding that balance. And each dynamic and situation is different, but that's what worked for us. And both my kids are in school now. I'm back studying and all that kind of
There
thing.
you
But
go.
it's a busy time in your life, and it's very taxing and very rewarding. But it's a lot. It's a lot to
Yeah,
be a
you're
stay-at-home
waking up,
parent.
especially now. You're waking up. You're helping your husband. You're taking your kids to school. You're doing it. And I interviewed me. I mean, it's like you gotta write a book on
That's
how
all
to
right.
schedule your life and make your
Uh,
achievements happen. You're
you
perfect for
just
that.
gotta roll with it. Be
Yeah,
very flexible.
very much so.
And was it at Miami Gardens where I know that you became a SWAT team member?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
2008. 2008
Okay.
went to SWAT school, and then became
Oh, so like right when you started at Miami
Yeah,
Gardens.
I went there, and then there was it was they're forming a team and everything,
Yeah.
starting to, or at least get, tactical patrol officers out
Mm-hmm.
there.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, I made the school, the tryout, and then
Yeah.
ended up going and graduating,
Yeah.
we had there was like 30 people tried out. Well, 30 people made the tryout. And then like 25 showed up day one. And then for whatever reason, the other five didn't come, maybe administrative, because you know how things work in departments.
Yeah.
Oh, can't give it. You got to work these details now. We have this coming up.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I'm not talking about agency, I'm talking interagency wide.
Yeah.
And then 25 end up showing up.
Mm-hmm.
And then out of the 25, out of the 3 week SWAT school, 3 of us graduated.
Wow. That's sounds like a very tough course.
It was physically, but the shooting is what knocked out a majority of individuals, because you know how
Really?
they have the blue Smurf, like pose like that, and there's a bowling pin inside of that target.
Ah,
You
okay.
have to shoot 100% of your rounds
Yeah.
into that, and if you hit the line, you're DQ'd in the bowling pin. You
Yeah.
hit that line, that round doesn't count.
On like a normal, obviously like a shot target, so
Yeah, the
then
blue
do
Smurf.
they do like an actual sort of center of body mass inside of the target itself?
Yeah, it has like, pretend there's like this. I'm the blue Smurf, and
Mm-hmm.
then within there's like the little line that's like a bowling pin,
Yeah.
and you have to be within that. So you better be aiming center mass, you know.
Yeah.
And you have to also do opposite. So not only do you do your dominant hand, but you have to do your opposite hand with rifle. I mean, rifle, shotgun, handgun. We had the MP5s as well.
Yeah.
And to add more difficulty, you have to have with a gas mask too. Is
Oof.
part of the
Yeah.
qualification. So if you're not used to shooting opposite hand with a gas mask, and they're running you
Yeah.
during your shooting and timing, you should be sprint up,
Yeah.
come back, jumping jacks, push-ups. You have 5 seconds, and you're from the 100 yard. You have 5 seconds with your rifle to put 3 rounds.
Yeah.
So that's all breathing, controlling, and they go.
Yeah.
So yeah, so a
I
lot of
gotta
people.
ask, with the three who made it through, did they all have some kind of like military experience?
No, one
Really?
was a doctor who was reserved, an actual ER doctor who
Oh
was
my
a
goodness.
reservist, and the other one was an active police officer, young guy. We actually reconnected
Yeah.
recently when I was doing my first speaking engagement at Fellowship of Christian First Responders,
Oh wow.
and he was gonna go, and because he's seeking God, so it's like now God
Yeah.
reconnected. So
That's wonderful.
yeah.
Oh, how awesome. And so was like you being like on the SWAT team, was that sort of like a not like a side gig, but as in something that you just get a call out for and then you perform
Yeah,
regular duties? Okay.
yeah, or we're on duty, and then they have an incident. Whichever guys were on duty, they'd have us come.
Mm-hmm.
When there was like when K9 got deployed,
Yep.
they would have us, preferably us, to walk with them, because people with a rifle, they just go through a 1 or 3 day course, and it's not even, it's not enough.
Yeah.
You have the ADs going off, they're walking off, like, "Pah!" so
Yeah.
just things like that. So that's why
Yeah.
they prefer the TAC team members.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
No, that makes total sense. And so sort of like what other roles did you do during your time in law enforcement?
when I first got, highly, I was an FTO, a field training
Yep.
officer, and then patrol, obviously. But I loved it. I loved it
Mm-hmm.
there. The crew. We would literally you had like our crews would be together for like a year, 2 years, and we had court. We would bid every quarter, but you're working so good and you're just
Yeah.
Magellan. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You'd have the senior dogs say, "Hold my bid till it gets to this guy, our most junior guy, because we want to stay together and with the same sergeant because
Yeah.
he would have our back." That's why I said Hylia was just amazing. At least
Yeah.
that generation.
Yeah. Yeah.
A
And
lot of them are.
yeah. Yeah. And like the people you work with, especially in these first responder professions, they can definitely make or break it for you. Like it's you either have like a really shitty crew and it just doesn't gel and doesn't vibe
Yeah.
and it can create like chaos, or you guys just, like you're saying, you like fit together like
Yeah,
glue, and
just
it
you just
just,
Magellan, like you just
yeah.
flow. You would hear in their voice and knew something was wrong.
Yeah.
Or, if we weren't on a call and he would go into a call, we all went. It's just how it was. And then what I loved was, that certain crews, we would have choir practice at the end of work. And choir practice in the old school days, I mean, some of the veterans right here, they're probably like, choir practice. It's right at the end of the shift, we'll get together and drink some beers.
Yep.
The crew. So that was our choir practice,
I figured that's where you were going with that one.
Yeah, and you can't, that bond was
Yeah.
was something special.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was
Yeah.
very much something special.
No, and like I think you and I would both know that drinking culture can be a massive issue in like law enforcement in particular, and can have a lot of negative connotations to it. But the thing that always came out of it in a really positive way was that sense of bonding and camaraderie.
Yeah.
And I know that we used to do it like more in particular when we would like do a week of night shift.
Yeah.
And we used to call it night shift drinks, and we would go and the pubs might stay open like a little later for us and stuff, and you'd be with like the whole area crew from that week and talk about your jobs, and you could talk about the great things, the funny things, and even some of like the sad shit that you did.
Yeah.
And it was like that CISM almost, like quasi, before anyone knew what CISM was, like you talked it out. And shed a few laughs and had some drinks, and probably wasn't like the healthiest coping mechanisms, but the bonds that were forged and the camaraderie that you felt, it definitely made the job something really special.
And the good thing though with the choir practice with ours was, if somebody was getting too drunk, yo, we got your keys, we're taking you home, or you're crashing at our place. You know what I mean? That's how it was. It was because the brotherhood was so tight that we looked out for each other. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And some of us just had a few drinks and had our food, our meals. Sometimes we go to Flanagan's, so we'd be over there having that. And but those were moments, just like you said. We would talk about things, or they talk about the problems, or like back in the day, if you had a problem with somebody, even if it was a supervisor, you went in the back and settled your problem. You know what I mean? Hey, let's go to the back of the station. And guess what? Nobody went. They knew what was going on. You come back, you're fixing your thing. You're like, man, you got me good, man. You got me good right there, But it was squashing. Guess what? You ended up even tighter.
Yeah.
Nowadays, the culture is like, for example, you have beef with a supervisor, and it's like, you want to go back out there? We decided this old school style, and they're supposedly old school, whatever. I don't know what agency they came from or how they resolve things. And they're like, oh, conduct unbecoming. Are you threatening me? No, but you keep talking to me like that. I will be. But different agencies are different ways, but that old school culture was like the best culture. Like, there's no school like the old school, where seniority meant something. I remember getting on the job and I was very blessed, Erin. Wednesday, 9/11 of all days, that a friend of mine named Bodie, which I know he's going to be seeing this, so Bodie, hey, thanks, God bless. He actually, he's a lieutenant at the City of Miami Police. Mm-hmm. Man on fire for God. He invited me and I spoke in roll call with almost like 30 officers there and shared the testimony and shared my experience, the PTSD, the prevention, suicide ideation, all. I shared that with them. And it wasn't like impactful. I didn't have my micro Jesuses at the time, which I wish I did. And he's the one that introduced me to micro Jesus. But God, the truth, it was like, it's amazing because you see the older generations that were there and they were like, they know how it is, and then the newer generation, but everybody was receptive. But
Right.
police work has changed so much.
Yeah.
We used to get on as a rookie and I'd go to senior officers, hey, what time do you 12? Which is a lunch break, 12.
Okay.
What time do you 12? What time do you 12? What time? And then I had to coordinate in between that out of respect for seniority,
Yeah.
And if we're all together, just eating crap, having a Cuban cafecito, and if a call went out, and none of us are in an in-service call,
Mm-hmm.
you better believe the rookie stepping up to get that call. Because be
Yeah.
like, okay, if they call his number, it was the unwritten rule. You jump on and be like, negative, cancel that unit. I'll take a primary. You earned your dues. You paid your dues. You earned their respect because they've been there, done that, and it created
Yeah.
more of that bond and that respect. And nowadays, it's like, I guess because they're having FTOs now with like 1 year on, if that, after probation. What do you truly know on the job? Now they're FTOing somebody. They're training them. While
Yeah.
us in Hialeah, you had to have 5 years minimal to become an FTO.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, you just brought me back in the day. I'm sorry. Sorry for the
No,
team.
no apologies necessary. It's nice to hear, and clearly you are, very passionate about it. So there's nothing wrong to be said about that. But I guess it probably is like a pretty good turning point. And from what you mentioned, like we've spoken offline, Chris and I have, and I know that he's put a lot of things out there into the social media realm already about some of his dark times and mental health struggles. I guess sort of probably maybe my main question to begin with is, was your mental health something that you struggled with sort of throughout the course of your career, or is it something that really sort of started to impact you more towards the end, and it was that kind of, whatever analogy you want to use, where like your backpack got a bit heavy and your cup got too full, that kind of thing?
Yeah. I didn't. I was a typical cop. Well, mentality, and for the military, from what's seen in the military, and then also in police work, we compartmentalize these things.
Yeah. Yep.
So to say that it didn't affect me, that I noticed,
Mm-hmm.
I just compartmentalized it. But little did I know it was, as time went on, it was affecting the family because they were noticing my behavior.
Yeah.
They noticed the change. My
Mm-hmm.
wife noticed the change, you know?
Yeah.
And like I said, when I got to Miami Gardens, and I don't put the blame on Miami Gardens, because you know what? You have some good people there, some great people there.
Yeah.
And then, you have some other things that should be changed, put the people there that still care and that are towards the officers, and then the other ones. So like I said, I don't knock Miami Gardens at
Mm-hmm.
all. I'm blessed for the opportunity for working there
Mm-hmm.
from '08 to 2024 when I retired in August. But it was there with certain. The best way I think to prove it, like my friends said to say it best like this, is there were certain individuals in the administration that made life uncomfortable,
Yeah.
extremely uncomfortable. And on top of that, that's where, when I was needing it, as I started progressing, remember when you compartmentalize things, what happens? There's only so much we can fit in that box,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then it keeps doing what? It's gonna stretch, it's gonna keep stretching, it's gonna keep stretching, and then what? Poof.
Exactly.
And that's what happened.
Yeah.
And that was like, yeah, that was that journey down to that black hole. And it was like, it felt like those rides were not a decline around like this. It was more like, boom, straight down,
Yeah. And it sounds like it was an incredibly challenging period for you. And like you're saying, with, great reverence, it's not just a time that you had to endure and experience. Like you're saying, it impacted your children and your wife too. So
And
it's
friendships and everything. Everybody suffers.
yeah.
Everybody gets affected, that your loved ones. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like I I preach now to people, and not I say people, I speak now to people where in departments and police officers, like yesterday at the roll call. And then when I did my first speech at the Fellowship of Christian First Responders, where there was first responders, there firefighters and police officers, men and women. It was just amazing.
Yep.
About talking.
Yep.
After every critical incident, this was the one where I started getting that box filled little by little by little. Because, like you said, did I experience it? I remember my wife telling me stories like when I met her in the beginning, and we started a family in the beginning. Like I would sleep, and I'm like, get down, move, move. Like I was having PTSD from the military and such, and coupled with that, now the police, things started coming. You're seeing the suicides. I mean, I saw a guy blow his head off right in front of me. We tried talking to him, and I saw that. People that hung themselves. And that was part of one of my tipping points towards the end. And then taking lives. It always in. And I wish I would have spoken up and not have that fear of, man, I'm going to be put on light duty. Man, I'm going to get terminated. Or even, man, what are these guys going to think of me? They're going to think I'm a wuss. I'm weak. And everything to the contrary, it takes a strong person to get help. And I'm a firm believer now. And what's your opinion on this? That from a critical instance that transpires, shootings, whatever, should have a debrief, but also the person involved the most, the officer, supervisor should go up and be like, and even the buddies, yo, you good, man? Follow up and should encourage them to go minimal talk to somebody, or at least encourage them to contact EAP, Employee Assistance Program, just to get it out instead of keeping it in. And then also follow up. That's why I preach out as a follow up. Don't just the one day and say, hey, Erin, you good to go? Yeah, I'm good. And it's even more hard. And you can relate the most because I can't. As a female officer, you're more looked upon as like, you got to prove yourself, girl. You know what I mean? You better hold your weight. And for a woman to come out and say, man, this shooting affected me, or this, you're not cut out for this. Or a fight where you're fighting. You're probably fighting this guy waiting for your backup to come, and he's reaching for your gun. You're holding your gun here, and this guy's hitting you, and you're like just holding off, doing what you got to do. If you say, man, I was scared. I've been in that situation as a man where I was fighting, boom, 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 and all of a sudden reality hit. Oh shit, this guy's going for my gun. And I was like, it just got real, And then, I went to defending my gun and then broke his arm and such, because now I realized I was fighting for my life.
100%.
And then if a woman comes and says that, a female officer comes and says, I was scared, what do you think the peers are going to say? When in all actuality, they should have said, it's okay, Erin, to be scared. It's okay. You're here. Your fear is what kept you alive. And you need to talk to somebody about it because, or go call EAP, because guess what? That's going to taunt you in your mind. It's going to come back. Or you're going to go home to your kids and say, I almost didn't come home. If I didn't catch that guy grabbing my gun, feel that shake on my waist, be cognizant to that, I wouldn't be here to see my kids.
Yeah. No.
And that's why the women, I tip my hat off to you. And I'm not saying this because of you, Erin. I've been 24 years and I've worked with some warrior females. That's why I was proud of them. And I posted that about Women's Police Officer Day yesterday. Because let me tell you, we have it hard as male officers. Women, even more. Because of that stigma. That's why if a man's scared to open up, imagine the woman.
No.
So women, please open up. Men, you're talking about a guy who did some things in the military, and then in police work, I was crime suppression. When I first got to Miami Gardens, I was uniform crime suppression. I also did the FTO part there as well. And then, the SWAT and the tactical team. And I was also dignitary protection for the mayor for almost 2 years. And you're looking at me, oh, this guy's the alpha. My man, the real alpha came out later when I needed to get help. I was strong enough to say, man, I need to get help. Because I was already ruining the lives of my family. I was ruining my life. I was losing everything. And we didn't even go down that part, so I'm sorry for interrupting
No.
about what transpired in that black hole, you know.
That's all right.
And we still learn to deal with it. PTSD doesn't go away. It doesn't. It's not like a cure. Cured. La. But we are able to recognize the triggers when something causes us to go in that black hole. And then, like I say, and I learned this in Struggle Well, which is an amazing course from Boulder Crest for first responders and veterans. So shout out to Boulder Crest. They're an amazing organization, guys. You either feed the bad wolf, which is those thoughts, or you can feed the good wolf. That's why it's called post-traumatic growth. Because you're never going to be cured from PTSD, but you can learn to live and still enjoy life that you're blessed with. And you can still make your life with your family enjoyable. There is hope. There is hope when you don't think there is, because I was there to the point where I wanted to commit suicide. Nice. So.
And that was, you just shared a lot just then. So, firstly, thank you for, being so open and honest. And, I think like you're saying, and it is something that I think, especially in this sort of realm, it is really heavily promoted about trying to get men to speak about their mental health. But you actually do bring up a really interesting point about the fact that, and, from my experience, I don't know if, I wouldn't necessarily say that like as a female, I felt that I was judged more harshly. I think we're judged differently and we're expected
That's the word. That's the better word. Thank you.
not better, but just, like I still remember, like I became really good friends with a guy that who was like a senior member who I worked with when I was like very junior. And there was like an incident where we had to like force our way into like the house. We're going through a window and we're wrestling with this guy on the ground, and someone sprayed, so there's fucking spray everywhere and all that kind of thing.
It never ends up on them.
Oh man, it really doesn't. And it was sort of like it got spoken about, and then like the first question that gets asked is like, how'd she go? It's like they want to know if you're going to fucking jump in. And obviously I'm never going to have like the strength of a man, and you get taught certain things in the academy. But like my go-to was always like jump on their legs, because it's like I generally have like enough weight to like be able to like do
grab
that.
Grab a limb. Yep.
Just jump on them. And I was like, that was my go-to move. It was normally pretty successful.
But that says, because you said it right, Erin. They're not going to be in front of you like, oh, hey, how is she? No, it gets taught, especially you're a new female cop. It's going to be taught to, hey, how was Erin? Yeah, Erin could throw down, bro. She wasn't scared. She went. Dude was like this big. Erin's like that big. But she just, without hesitation, she went, grabbed the leg, and that enabled me to jump on top, tackle the dude, and mount him. And then, we were able to take him into custody.
Yeah.
While compared to, we've even had guys, even with guys, hey, how was that rookie on the scene? How was it? Bro, man, the guy was in the back yelling 315, which is emergency backup, while I'm over there on the ground going fisticuffs with this guy, Because back then, in the beginning, we didn't have tasers.
Nope.
No. It was your baton. Well, other than your gun, but, if you're going hands on, it was your baton. Mm-hmm. Or it was, asp. I'm sorry.
Oh my God, I haven't heard that term in like years.
So, you have your asp, you have your pepper spray, which my agency, my guardians didn't have it, but Hialeah did. That was like, yo, we had that Fox Force. That thing like messed you up.
Yeah.
And we had to get qualified to it. So it messed us. We're like, you don't want this, man. Trust me. And then for all the veterans, we know about this. You mentioned your asp, your pepper spray. You got your radio. And it's the reality. You're fighting when you're going in. You're fighting for your life, because you could be with your ass, and I'll say, "What? It flies." And then you're reaching for your pepper spray, but in the struggle, that thing flew that way. So it's like, what do I got? The radio.
Yeah.
People don't realize that, and then you'll have those guys in the back. T15, and it's like at the end, it's like, yo, so how was so and so? And it's a rookie dude or whatever, and you're like, bro, I don't ever want that man on my scene. And we were known, if we knew that you weren't, male or female, weren't somebody that would get me home at the end of the night. There you go. That's the best way. We'll cancel you. Cancel that unit.
Yeah.
I'm better off on my own
Yeah.
than that person there, because now I got to watch you to make sure you get home.
Yeah.
And that's the unwritten rule, right? We all go home at the end of the shift.
100%.
And then the other two, we don't get wet and we don't get hungry. But sometimes we get wet, but we don't get hungry.
Exactly. No, in Australia, you'd say they weren't much chop. Like they just weren't weren't up to standard, or like weren't much chop, or just fucking useless. You'd be like, nah, I'm not doing that shit with them. That's not happening.
Exactly.
But I know we sort of ventured off down a bit of a fun path there.
I know, but this is good.
No, that's all right.
I'm actually, it's enjoyable. Like, I've been very blessed. The people that have interviewed me have been amazing, and this is good. Because the last podcast didn't venture this much into me and the background. So kudos.
Oh, thank you. maybe I'm just a nosy former detective, and I can't help myself.
There you go.
And sort of like you've obviously mentioned sort of briefly in our conversation about, and other things that you shared publicly about, like the traumatic experiences that obviously you endured, and during like a 24-year policing career, as well as your military experience. And you spoke about having suicidal thoughts and ideation. And I do know that, you sort of shared that you had some sort of like, addiction struggles, and
that's to say the least.
And even some sort of fidelity issues that were probably all wrapped up in the substance use and all that kind of thing. What are you comfortable sharing today about that?
I think it's good to be transparent. Like I was telling you over the phone last time, it was like, because the whole purpose of this, you doing this podcast, is to help people. The whole purpose for my mission that God had put into my heart and saved my life, which I'm going to go into this right now, is to share the whole testimony. Because he had to put me through this, because there's others going through it. And like I was scared to talk about a fear of losing my job, fear of just everything. So as I'm going through all this stuff with the department, and I would just say this to be correct, with certain individuals in the department, in the administration, just certain, not the department in general, because like I said, the department is great.
Fucking administration.
Yes.
Always.
Yeah, we have some good ones there, but it was, some majority, some of the administration there. And this is Miami Gardens, but former agency, let's say that. Not Hialeah. I love Hialeah. Hialeah was great to me, praise God. But the culture of men in police work, not everything. It's a lot of infidelity. And I'm going to speak out of me. I gave into that. Hey man, Chris, there's this girl checking you out. Boom. And I would give into that, and a lot of infidelity going on, like I would say, like early in my career, and then I would catch myself, be good for a minute, then fall right back, and then that. But then it was the later part of my career, the one where I discussed with you that I was seeing this woman, and then I ended up moving in with the person, and with me, I'll just talk about me. I was already started getting write-ups from the department, and they weren't following policy, progressive discipline. They're just out to get whoever it was that gave that order. It was out to like make my life and career very uncomfortable. And so I go into this mode, and then that, like, I realized when I know I'm going all around, but at least this one thing I remember, and I didn't know about the tipping point. You learn what's your tipping point that breaks you. with PTSD and trauma, because like I said, I suffered from I still do, but I manage it. PTSD, depression, anxiety, and suicidal ideations, and some serious drug abuse, which I'll get into. I literally was just involved in this shit to the point where I even moved out with that person while left my family. And then the department is just coming at right now for the camera, not activating it, and not even the progressive, not a verbal warning, not a written warning or reprimand or a 1-day suspension. They went straight to a 5-day suspension, which was unheard of. Nobody got a 5-day suspension right off the rip. So they violated progressive disciplinary action, and then also try to terminate because I kept calling out. I wasn't in the right mental state. And I even sent a departmental email, and our policy stated, because they were about policy, the policy stated that you got to check your emails during the start and after, before shift ends. I sent an email saying I'm going through marital issues. My 16-year-old at the time, now 17, she tried to commit suicide. I was involuntarily, Baker acted. I didn't mention drug abuse, but I mentioned the lack of sleep. So everything that would check the block for depression, PTSD, the lack of sleep, the drop in performance, the anxiety so bad. I mean, I have officers there that could attest that they would see me on a scene and I would be like, because the anxiety was so bad, not from the performance, the job, the working, but it was from what was happening to me with certain administrators. To a point where I would, the night before going to shift, I was having anxiety panic attacks. And then suck it up, let me suck it up, let me go put my uniform on. And it was like, take a med for it. And still, or then the couple times I would go, leave work early because it was just overwhelming. And then so they tried to terminate me for that. And that didn't go through. So I was literally at the apartment from January with the other person, January until the day, like till May. It was till May. This is when the deep dark hole came, where I wasn't going to work, I was calling out. And I had my, certain coworkers that I'm super cool with, my best friend too, who's there, they'd call, hey, how you doing? And then I would answer his calls. But the other ones, then it was just, I was closing down. I was shutting down on everybody. And reference to drug use, I was literally taking a gram. I was doing about a gram of Coke a day. A day. Monday through Thursday. Chris, that's not the whole week. Oh, because there's more. But a gram a day. You know what it is? That you're in bed. You're not even partying. You're in bed. You call out. You go. Or line it up. And just go back in bed because just it's out of that. The feeling. You wanted some kind of, good feeling, what the drug falsely gives you. And then come Friday night and Saturday. Oh, it was on there. It was on the drinking, not just a little cup, Now it's my Jesus cup with coffee, you see. But drinking and then doing anywhere from 3 to 4 grams on a Friday night, 3 to 4 grams on a Saturday night, and occasionally fast drink popping an X. All of that. All the exhibit of that reckless behavior. And then I remember when I wanted, I was like, I'm gonna do it. Commit suicide was, I remember, came to visit my kids. And at this point, my kids don't want nothing to do with me at all. At all. And I can't blame them. I can't. And I remember the baby, she's 16. She was like, Dad, you're a good provider and a good protector. but you're a crappy husband, a crappy father. And she used other words. Now imagine hearing this from your little mini me. And I just was like, why live? I fucked them up. I fucked this family. My wife ended up going a couple of times. It hit her so bad. She ended up going to like the urgent care and another time to the ER. I was just fucking up everything. I was just like, man, what can I do right? Not sure the vulnerability, getting it out of me. And then I just remember just thinking, in my life, I could leave them my life insurance, my pension, and the VA. I could do that. Do something. I might not do this. And it just came to me, and I just remembered this girl who said this to me, my daughter. I said, this girl was like, saying, my daughter said that I'm a terrible father. Well, worse than that. And she was involuntary baker. What would have happened if I took my life shortly after her saying that? I can't ever live with that. And then it just, like I said, then the journey is not her fault. It's just I just try to escape reality. I just kept on the drugs and everything. And then I remember I was on like a 3 day bender, man. No sleep. And boom, 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 boom. And I couldn't hold anything down. Mind you, Erin, look, I'm 190. That's what scale today. I'm like 195, 196. You know, like 172. And I look at myself in the mirror and I'm like, my eyes. It's not me. Body. Like that. And I couldn't hold down food. I knew enough to fluids, Gatorade, but so that would come up, but at least a little, whatever electrolyte helps sustain. And then I look at myself in the mirror. It's like, I can't do rehab. I can't. And rehab doesn't work. I see it all the time. I've arrested people where they go relapse. This shit don't work. I'm not gonna do it. I need God. God's the only one that's gonna do this. God's the only thing that's gonna do this. God, you rose the dead? Come on, I'm gonna try you. Let's see. You say you can do this. Do it. Help me. I remember I'm leaving. Where are you going? I'm going to church. And I wasn't even a joke. I mean, I'm desperate. And I drive down to my church. I get there. I'm alone. And I just fall to my knees. And I just put my head down. And I'm just surrendering, saying, God, please. You're the only one that can do this. You say you can do this. I believe. And they say that with that faith of a child when you believe. Just like in the Bible where the person, when they said when Jesus was walking through the crowd and the lady reached and she just believed that she could touch. If she could touch, if she could touch Jesus' robe that he was wearing, then she would be saved. And that's when he was walking and he felt like he lost everything, like his power is in the Bible. And he goes up to her and he says, I know if I could just go, child, because now your faith has healed you. So I guess it's what it was, that I had that faith that he could do that. So I do that, and then I'm sitting down. The worship music's going on. I'm just praising him, saying, please, God, please help me. And I just remember the pastor coming up. He's praying, holding his hand on my head. And then I wake up on the ground. So all that stuff, you see, and I'm just what happens to everybody. Thank God, you see that get me out of it. Woo! Thank you. Oh, because I was going there. I was seeing everything again.
You can tell how tough that is, and
and
I'm sorry to take you there, but
no,
I
no,
appreciate I appreciate it.
people need to hear this, because especially coming from somebody who thought he was the alpha male. I became an alpha male when I had the strength to get help. And my belief, I don't push my belief on nobody. I could just say what saved me.
Yeah,
And that was being a warrior for Christ. That I went to God.
yeah.
And then I wake up, and I'm telling you, Erin, it was like, those in the movies, the chalk line body? Like that. Literally, that's how I was on the ground. Fell out like that. This was hurting because
Yeah.
I went down. It wasn't like that fake stuff. Oh, let me just, oh, slid in the spirit. No, Erin, I was down. And I'll say this, I'll admit it, drool. And when I woke up, I was like, my shoes, my socks, my hat thrown off.
Everything, yeah.
And I'm feeling slimy. And I'm like, whoa, what happened here? Did I get violated? and, oh, and then it was anointing oil that they put on. And I had like, I woke, this is like a, it's almost like a crime scene where they put a blanket, but it was a prayer shawl. So I was literally a crime scene. I'm not that now because I'm like, oh my God. And I just remember being in the corner, like back in the corner, shoes off and everything. I'm just like, and I felt like my SWAT gear, or for firefighters that are listening, that bunker gear, or for cops that aren't in a tactical unit, your riot gear, because everybody gets issued that riot gear, or for the veterans that are listening, your combat load. I just felt like all that was off, and it felt so amazing, and that cry, that cleansing cry. And Erin, from that day forward, I never craved, wanted, desired any drugs, anything. No rehab, no relapse, no nothing. Now I want to say this to people: it's like, it's okay if you relapse. It's okay. I'm thank God I'm not here, but I have a crisis. But I have people I could turn to, and whenever stress or whatever other things come in my mind, but I could say honestly none with the drugs. I've seen what it's done, but there's gonna be people where they may stumble. And then if they gave their life to Christ, Christ delivered them, I want them to know that God still loves you. It's okay. Don't be like, oh, I screwed up. No, I can't go no more. No, I'm done. No, you're human. You're normal. Stay in the Word, stay in prayer. Get with organizations like Boulder Crest. There's a lot of organizations. DM me on my Instagram. I'll find help for you. God's blessed me with a network of resources. And I'm sure they could message you where you probably reach out to somebody. Have that crisis plan. Don't be scared to reach out. And if you stumble, you stumble. You're human. And when I tell you that God is amazing, I mean, this is a guy that rose the dead, gave sight to the blind, cured the lepers. And so what he did for me was, it was nothing. And like literally restored my life, gave me a purpose, a mission, and my family. And I'm telling you, Erin, like to have that daughter that said those words, and now I'm saying, Dad, what you doing today? Let's go to the beach. Or just I could be in the room reading the Bible or something, and she'd come up and just sit with me and she'd talk to me about, her things going on. And I remember her grabbing my arm over my arm and just huddling up and putting an arm around me, and I wouldn't trade that shit for the world, man. I would not. I'm such a player. I won't, like, I realized what I was losing, what I was almost never less my life. And God put it in my heart to help others. And I was like, man, you crazy? I don't want nothing to do with law enforcement. This agency, the certain individuals, this agency, they had my back. They didn't call to check up on me. They never read the email. They ignored a letter from EAP therapist, which they sent me to, stating he would benefit from working the desk on a light duty assignment. And nothing. And I just didn't want nothing to do with the brotherhood no more. I'm good. I'm safe. Thank you, Lord. On to the next. No, I put you through this for a reason. You're going to help the veterans. You're going to help the first responders. And you're going to help their families too. Because you almost lost your family. You almost lost your life. And I delivered you. Fine. Do it. What else am I going to do, Erin? Right?
Well, it sounds like, I mean,
And he's giving me look at you ever think I would be on a podcast with you talking? I never thought this. I want nothing to do it. And now I'm on fire to help officers, veterans, the families. I'm on fire for that. Like that love. Look, I had my thin blue line bracelet on, but I had the Jesus on it. But I'm on fire for that passion. When I spoke at a roll call the other day at the City of Miami Police, I'm like, I'm loving it. When I ain't want nothing to do with it anymore. And it's because of him. Yeah. And you think I would write his book? You crazy, girl. You crazy. You be like, Chris, you crazy. You so crazy. So yeah, it's been amazing. He's opened doors. He's put people in my life that could help share this message, and then people like-minded to have this cause. And it's been amazing. Freaking amazing.
I mean, it really sounds like, and the vivid way in which you so graciously, reshare it, like it. I don't want to speak out of turn, but it's almost like the way that I've interpreted everything that you just shared with me. It's like he restored your soul, because you were like, from everything you described, living in a way that wasn't authentic to who you knew that you actually were. You had been a great father. You had been a wonderful husband. You'd been a provider. You'd been a great cop, and all of the things that you're, sharing with our audience that you've ventured
I was
down
a piece of shit,
of.
man. I was a piece of shit, man. I was, and I can say it now because I shouldn't have put the family through that. I shouldn't have, and I'm ashamed of that, man.
Yeah.
And that's why I want to help men to realize there's hope, man. Yeah. Whether it's God or whatever, there's counseling. I'm just saying what worked for me.
Yeah.
But I've done the research. I built networks where I learned the other aspects. Yeah. Other things. What works for one won't work for the other.
Yeah, very much so.
And I don't want a family doesn't deserve to have a person and to go through what I put them through. And if I can help one person save their life, save their career, save their family, I did my job on earth. Yeah. I could go there and I could help God say, good job, my good. That's why I live. I live to help people now. And I just don't want shit to do with nobody. I'm not gonna lie. I want it. Everything I went through, I was like, man, I'm good. Thanks for delivering me. Thanks, Lord. And it was, but wait, what? What?
Yeah, but you are showing, and you are like a shining example of the fact that redemption and forgiveness is possible. And you're clearly, it's not just like, oh yeah, like, hey, I'm fixed and I'm absolved of all of my sins, and you know what, and it doesn't fucking matter everything I put everyone through. Like, I have no doubt, as like the wife in this situation, you've probably had to work incredibly freaking hard to earn your wife and your children's love and respect and trust, and I'm sure you are
Oh,
still deep in the process of
it
doing that.
was amazing when the girls, my daughters, I have a 24-year-old son, amazing, amazing lad. I got a 20-year-old daughter who's a lifeguard, proud of her. I have my little baby, my mini me, who's 17 now.
Yeah,
And for them, they were very receptive. My son was very supportive the whole time. Even during the midst of the BS, he was
yeah,
supportive. The 20-year-old, she was good, but she just like blocked that. Like, but my 17, she was very critical, and you can't blame her. That was a critical time for her. And I wasn't there when she was going through the
yeah.
suicidal stuff. I remember leaving, and then going to the hospital and seeing her, and it was like drug overdose. And she's going like, and you know what I see your baby like that,
That's right.
and she was so critical after when God restored it. And then when like this was like maybe 2 weeks ago. Mind you, this happened in May. 2 weeks ago, so time has gone by. She goes, Dad, I noticed a change in you. She was like you said, she was had that critical line, like, nah, we're not going through this roller coaster again. I'm not gonna let down my guard.
Yeah,
And even though she would hang out with me and everything, it wasn't until I heard those words
she still had that.
where
Yeah.
where it was like all I did was ignite that fire more to like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna keep proving a bit. I got too much to lose here.
Yeah,
I want every moment. I want every moment.
yeah.
Like that song from Jeremy Camp, who's a Christian. Keep me in the moment. It's so good. So yeah. This is the
Yeah.
side people don't see on Instagram. So yeah.
Well, there you go. I'm a privileged individual right now. But as well, not for nothing, and it's wonderful that, regardless of whether it is therapy, religion, faith, some kind of different practice, like you're saying, you went to Struggle Well at Boulder Crest, which I know a mutual friend of ours, Travis Gribble, has also been
Yes.
a big
Amazing.
proponent
Look,
of.
that's what she like. He put this in touch.
Mm-hmm.
God opened the doors.
Yeah,
God opened the
yeah.
doors. That's why he said, "Don't worry, I'll give them." Like, I'm not gonna do this. But you're
Yeah,
right, and Travis is an amazing warrior, amazing,
he is.
humble
He's great.
warrior
Yeah,
who's been through almost something similar, you know. And so yeah,
yeah. But I mean, you've found the thing that clearly works for you, and obviously, like, and you've been open and spoken about, like, the trauma, and not in like a way to like excuse any of your actions. And we sort of like talked about it briefly when we were on the phone the other day, but like you're saying, like, you recognize all of your behavior and all of the things you were doing. One of a very prominent symptom of post-traumatic stress and post-traumatic stress disorder is avoidance, and so many, and like maladaptive coping mechanisms. So, going and being unfaithful with someone who doesn't really know the real you, and engaging in drinking and illicit drugs and all that kind of
reckless
thing.
lifestyle, yes, behavior.
They are all, and you're probably incredibly hyper vigilant during that stage too. Like, it's all that sort of that level of avoidance, because you're saying,
And
you're like, I don't want to feel any of this, because if I do, I'm gonna fucking break. So.
yes, and the thing is like the reason why I tell people you need to talk, share.
Mhm.
One, your family. Talk. You want to get better for your family. There's hope. But number two, for first responders, veterans, um, you want it for your family and other. But remember, we're working. My backup, those people I work with, are depending on me.
Yeah.
And thank God, nothing ever happened. But that was reckless,
Mm-hmm.
and the people need to realize that. And the reason I had my reasons why I picked the Coke. But there's other people that with drinking issues where you show up and you can smell it on them.
Yeah.
And it's like, we need to realize that we have to fix ourselves, because we're not going to be an asset to them. And we have a duty that everyone goes home at the end of the shift.
Mm-hmm.
And then now the family part. Guys, talk, because you don't want to bring it home. You don't want to. And when you start feeling it, and this is why I'm a firm believer in educating the families, because the families suffer too. The families could get PTSD from this. It's a fact.
Yep.
And just because you don't have to be a veteran or first responder to get PTSD, there's life traumatic incidents which cause it.
Yep, very much so.
And you have to address that. People have to seek help. I'm telling you, you are strong if you go get help. There's nothing weak about that. Think about what you have to lose. Think about your loved ones. What is your why in life? What is your why? It may be your dog. Dead serious. Look, you heard my dog's bark. I love animals. You know? It may be that. It may be your family. It may be your mom who's older and you're taking care of her and you're like, man, I gotta fix myself because of that. Or your job, you're single, you don't have no family, no nothing, but it's your job that you love your job, you love your coworkers. That's your why. And it doesn't have to be just one why. Make that list of why I have to beat this, why I have to get help. Why is it so important? Not just for me, but for others. Don't be selfish. I was a selfish mofo. Like I told you, Erin, I'm not proud of the man I was, but I'm grateful for the man I am now, and I'm looking forward to the man that God's gonna have me become.
Yeah, absolutely, and I couldn't agree more wholeheartedly about it. It's the juxtaposition of, you know, for years gone by, especially in first responder and law enforcement, it's like you were weak if you admitted that you were struggling, and it's and it should have always been this way. But the truth is, there is such great power in speaking up and sharing it, but it's immense strength too, because, and I've said it on previous, you know, episodes before, it's like anyone can wear a mask. Anyone
Yeah,
can cheat on their partner, drink excessively, do drugs, like all of the shitty things that all of us are capable of doing. And, you know, unfortunately, a lot in the first responder realm end up doing. But the strength and the courage, which is not terms that I think should be thrown around lightly, but to step forward and, like you're saying, and you know, there's a fucking bullshit alpha, you know, shit all over the internet, which it just makes me want to fucking shove a fork in my eye when I see it. But you're talking about it from the perspective of, you know, like an army veteran, a ranger, you know, many years in policing, like there is, and even, you know, your own like physicality and everything. You obviously like care about your body and care about your fitness and all that kind of thing, like that
my
in
body and
terms
soul.
of
It's that.
exactly that in terms of like you're that kind of person where someone would go, he's like, you know, he wouldn't be fucking like in touch with his feelings or in touch with his emotions. And you're just like, I fucking actually am. And I know you can look at me and think I'm this one way, and I'm showing you and I'm proving to you that it's fucking strong and powerful and courageous to speak my truth. And all credit to you, Chris, like you fucking lay it out, and you know, you share it all, and I can't even imagine how difficult that must be for you sometimes, but you do it just with a beautiful authenticity, because you're like, you know what, like if I help one person, then that is what it's about. It's not about me.
That's
It's
my
about
mission.
yeah.
And like I said, there's other things, you know, where people could do exercise. Me, I discovered breath work, and I never thought I would do that.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. Bro, you like, yeah, get the F out of here.
Yeah.
No, but it's the benefit to the point where I became a breath work
Well,
facilitator.
talk to me about that, because I know that this leads into the book that you've been working on, which I really want to hear about. So yeah, and I know you've like ventured into sort of coaching and yeah, breathwork
Yes.
facilitator and keynote speaking and motivational speaking. Like I presume all of it sort of is really kind of wrapped up into the one thing. So please, yeah, tell me about your book and this whole wonderful journey that you've been on.
I'm just on a mission to find out ways to help people.
Yeah.
And then myself as well, because you can't help somebody if you're not helping yourself. Right? And it's easier to say, hey, you know what, man, eat some vegetables. It's going to be healthy for you. But you're not eating it, or you never tried it. It's just book read. And there's a lot of people like that, psychiatrists, teachers, or professors. Oh, you're teaching business in the university. Have you ever owned a business? No. How the hell am I going to learn from you? A marital counselor. Marital counselor. Okay. How long have you been married? Sir, ma'am, whoever the person. Oh, I'm not married. I got to go back. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
So that's why I'm a big believer in practice what you preach, right?
Yeah.
So I'm trying to discover, to get better and improve my performance, improve my mental. I'm a big believer in mind, body, and soul. Yeah. And that's why the fitness comes into play, but also the mental aspect. How when you're having trauma, and it's been proven that breath work helps with PTSD and trauma, and it helps relieve anxiety and then stress and everything.
Yep.
So
and not for
I'm
nothing,
diving into this.
I was just telling Chris offline that I've just this week, even last night, been working on a psychology assignment that was focused on deep diaphragmatic breathing. And it's, I've looked up all the journal articles, and it is because breath work, it basically functions as triggering our parasympathetic nervous system. So when we're in a state of stress, our sympathetic nervous system is reactive, and it's releasing cortisol and epinephrine and norepinephrine into our system, and that is what puts us in a state of fight or flight. It's what gets us ready to fucking fight for our lives or run for our lives. But when we're in that state for a chronic period, it has severe psychological and physical health implications. So breath work, like you're saying, is it resets our system, returns us back to a place of homeostasis.
Yes.
And like you're saying, it that rest and digest. And sorry, I interrupted you. So take it from there. Sorry.
No,
it's all in my head.
You put all the technical terms into it, which is great. I can break it down into layman's terms, which is great. Oh, that's amazing. And it's funny, like you said, we talked about it, and then we just got into a conversation about it. That's amazing. It helps because it helps with your heart, your organs, your digestive tract, your mental clarity, everything. You could be in a state of distress, and then all of a sudden you just calm down, do box breathing, which you mentioned on your but there's the 4-7-8 breathing. There's so many different ones, and you could do breath holds. There's also ones where you're breathing in and out through your nose, and it's like, I was like, what the hell? Yes, and they all have specific remedies.
And there's the cyclic sighing, and then there's the ones where it's you breathe. I think you breathe in for a shorter amount of time, but you exhale for longer.
And there's the ones where it's where you'll breathe in for a short amount of time, hold for a little bit longer, and then you're gonna exhale even longer, or vice versa. And it's like, how am I gonna do this? When you do it and you practice it, oh my God, it's just a feeling of enlightenment, and also a feeling where you can burdens you have could be off, or stresses for the day. So I'm an advocate of doing it before I start my day. That's for sure. It's got to be done. Check your emails before you start your day. That I knock that out with my daily prayer. All right, that grounds me. But if I go on a walk, I also do my breathing, because people think, oh, you got to be in that little. No, man, you can do it when walking. Like I told you during the cardio, but just focus on your breathing tempos. When you're driving, you can do it as well. Especially if you're feeling something, or you're nervous going into an interview or the job, or you had a stressful morning with your family, or even you finished your shift. For police firefighters, you finished your shift, you're like, and you're heading home, because you can't open your mouth at work. Do that breathing on your way home, so once you walk through that door, you're like, hello, family. So it has so many benefits for neurological, for your body, everything in health, and it's been proven to lower cholesterol, lower high blood pressure. It's like, wow. So I started diving more deep. I'm like, oh, let me learn more. After I experienced it, And then when I started getting the benefits and learning different positions, how to do it,
Yeah.
from standing, from seated to lying down, everything, I was like, might as well share this.
Yeah.
So
I
I
love
got
that.
certified as a breathwork facilitator,
Yeah.
and also meditation, as well as I was like, okay, so how am I going to do all this? Then he put in my heart to do life coaching,
Mm-hmm.
the life coaching and mindset,
Mm-hmm.
because it's all in,
It's all
it's all
connected. Yeah.
intertwined
All
with the
interrelated.
mind, body,
Yeah.
and soul. So it's been a blessing, and that led me to writing the book.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to gear it towards veterans, first responders, and their family for traumatic incidences.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
No, I
so
really,
everything's
really love
been
that.
great there.
Yeah. No, but what I love about everything that you're saying is that, you're taking all of these amazing things that you're learning, but it's really like the concrete, what's the term, like the concrete example of your amazing journey and your like post-traumatic growth. Like this book actually sort of represents that for you in this like amazing way. And I think it's fantastic.
That's God. It's God. There's God in the purpose He put me on. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
But yeah, and if anybody wants to reach out,
Mm-hmm.
send me reference to the life coach, the mindset coach, or the
Yeah.
breath work facilitating. I also offered a group experience. That way, it's cost efficient. To me, it's not about the money.
Yeah.
It's about helping people, and um, time is money, honestly.
Yeah.
but you can still help people and make it affordable for them, like the group classes. That way, we also interact.
Mm-hmm.
That's the biggest part is building that family, building that unity.
Mm-hmm.
So
Absolutely. Yeah. And I'll pop all of your information in the show notes. But if you want to either throw out like your email address or website or anything like that, and yeah, like basically the best way for people to contact you, is it via social media? Is it via LinkedIn? Is it via your website, email?
the,
What's the
right now, the best way, like the immediate Instagram,
okay?
send me a DM. Don't be shy, guys. I won't bite. You know. So yeah, I'm here to help. I'm here to help. I'm here to help. That is part of my why. That is
Yeah,
part of my why, is to help
yeah,
and help
and
people experience. People that have went through what I went through, show them that there's hope,
mm-hmm.
but also experience the benefits of breathwork, the benefits of having a life coach. For whatever. It doesn't just have to be for mental health. It could be like their goals in life.
Yeah,
Some people doubt
mm-hmm.
doing a business. Look, you ask me, Chris, you're gonna be writing a book, and you're gonna do a company journal with that too. I'm gonna look at you and go, Erin, what are you smoking? you know, and now I'm doing it, and it's
Yeah,
like, because anything is possible. You gotta have the right mindset. You gotta have goals in place, everything. And to me, breathwork helps open your mind, expand your mind, put you in a state where you can focus.
mm-hmm.
So it all comes together. I'm not the little whoo, but but I've seen what has worked for me, and I've done on the research, just like you've done with research for your degree for breathwork.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah.
real and it works.
Well, and like you're saying, you end up coming across and having interactions with people at the right time for like the right reason. Like, we obviously organized to have our conversation, like maybe like a week ago, but I've literally spent this past week learning all about deep diaphragmatic breathing. And I spoke to another bloke like a couple of weeks ago, Josh, whose episode was like released today, and he does like mindfulness meditations for first responders, and he's a
See,
firefighter. And I spoke to him when I was just studying learning about mindfulness in my
there-
degree. So
there's no
it's
such thing
all
as
interrelated.
coincidence. There's no such thing as coincidence. That's
No.
my belief with God. Things happen for a reason. And
Yeah.
it's amazing how, like, that happened, and you were able to, during your interview with him, relate more,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and bring out even a great interview. It's just, you're being blessed, Erin. You're being blessed for what you're doing, for your comment, for your why, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm sure that people are out there appreciate. I'm sure you get DMs thanking you for things, and I know, amazing that you even tell me you got people in your homeland that watch, and
Oh
that's amazing. So when are you gonna release a book? That's the
yeah.
question, girl. That's the question.
Oh Jesus, yeah, I don't know. When I find some time, maybe we'll see.
Little by little, just jot it down, because based off just your experiences, your husband's experiences, your life,
Mm,
doing everything, and then the people you interview,
yeah,
man, that would be a phenomenal book. I would be like, wow.
no,
I would read that, because just everything, you spoke to so many people.
it's an incredible privilege. I'll give it that. It's not something that
Amen.
I sort of, and like you say, if you had to like this podcast has been going on for just coming up on 12 months now, and if
Look at
you
that.
said to me 12 months ago, oh, that's what you're going to be doing, I would have looked at you like you were batshit crazy too.
Yep, yep. What are
So
you spoken?
exactly. But I tell you what, like I absolutely adore it, and I get to meet amazing people like yourself and have these beautiful conversations that, we get to put out into the ether and share with people and just kind of hope that it resonates and hope that someone finds some kind of benefit out of it. And I kind of look at it like I think everyone has, regardless of whether they want to admit it or not, like there's a voyeuristic part of us. And so you and I just sitting down, I've had many guests say like I forgot the camera was running because we're just shooting the shit, we're just having a chat. And I think that's kind of what I like about it. It's just basically overhearing two people's conversation, and that
That's it.
you
Keeping it
might,
real.
yeah, that you might get some benefit out of, and that's all it's about. I'll sort of the one last thing I do want to share is like when it comes to breath work, and I guess it's something I've been doing with my kids that I didn't really sort of necessarily realize much. But if they're like their emotions are heightened or something, like they're upset about something and something's going on, I'll sort of tell them to take a deep breath, and we do like in through their nose and out through their mouth. And the phrase that I don't even know where it came from, but like I was like, let's breathe the badness out.
Yeah,
Like
that's true.
breathe out your anger, breathe out your sadness, breathe anything out, and like breathe out the badness. And
It's like breathing
it's
out the carbon dioxide from
yeah,
the breathing. So you're inhaling the good oxygen, you're
yeah.
exhaling the bad. So that's
And
exactly
it
true.
does, and you see it, you see that like system change, and you see that level of calmness like wash over them. And when you're saying it, yeah, it's like your babies, and you just like watching that impact. Like
Yeah.
breath work is just such a phenomenal
Athletes
phenomenal
use it to
resource.
calm down before a game. I wish I knew about this prior to doing like a SWAT entry or doing something like that, because things like this that you learn,
Yeah.
you could just, or for firefighters, hey
Mm.
man, getting ready to get the ding 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 ding. I don't know, they sliding down the poles. Woo, I don't know what it is, but you know what? You're gonna have that fight or flight going in you, right?
Yeah.
So you want to know what? On your way there, do some of that breathing
Yeah.
while you focus on what you got to do once you get there.
Mm-hmm.
But helping doing breath work on your way to those calls, be
Yeah.
surprised, man. It'll be like, or before a job interview,
Yeah.
do it. There's so many benefits
Yeah.
of this. Before a test, an exam,
Mm-hmm.
mm, you'd be surprised the clarity.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or do
Very
it while
much
you're
so.
working out. Do it while you're studying. You're doing some practice your box breathing as you're reading, because
Mm-hmm.
you even become more receptive.
Yeah. Yeah. And
So
that's,
there's
and
there's a lot
they
of benefits.
call like another name for box breathing is tactical breathing, because there's like
That's
that
yes.
history about it, that they taught it to Navy SEALs before they
Yep.
were going to go
When
do
you're getting
missions.
shot or
And
before that anxiety, yes, that's what we learned.
mm-hmm.
That's what
Yeah.
we would call it. We learned as tactical breathing. And then I remember when I'm learning box breathing, I'm like, that's tactical breathing, man. You know? And then in Struggle Well, we learned 478 in
Ah,
Struggle Well.
okay. Yeah.
So
Amazing.
all this, while I'm learning, while I'm reading all this stuff and learning about it, I was like I guess God was already prepping me for this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Absolutely.
then also with like coaching and mindset, all the
Mm-hmm.
experiences what we go, because in law enforcement, we're like counselors too. We're going into a situation, we're talking about this stuff. And then with the mindset, I think that's super important, because whether you want to go SWAT, whether you want to go to Ranger School, whether you want to go to Airborne School, whether you want to go, whatever you're doing, it's
Mm-hmm.
all, or a goal you want to accomplish.
Yeah.
Because guess what? Oh man, uh, I'm done with law enforcement, or I'm done with my normal 9 to 5 job.
Yeah.
Man, find your passion, bro. But Chris, I can't do that. I would love to do that for a living. Why can't you? Let's help with
Absolutely.
their mindset. Let's get their mindset right.
Yeah.
Because Lord knows I got my mindset right. It's what got me through here and with God. But God's the one that put in my heart to help people and learn this and get certified in all those I got certified in. I didn't just say, I'm going to be a life coach. I'm a life coach. No. No. I went, dug deep, got accredited from good accreditation. Then I did my due diligence because I want to help.
Yeah.
I have that passion for that. So
no, and it is, and it's one of those things that like anyone can call themselves life coach, wellness coach, mindset coach, all of the things. And like I equally am like, I'm the kind of person I'm like, if I'm going to do something, I'm going to fucking do it right. And you get the certification, it's like I do like the life and wellness coaching for first responders and spouses. But, I'm kind of like, I
on that note, what makes you good at that? I'm sorry for interrupting. No. My ADD kicked in. What did you just say? You do it for first responders and their spouses. You could relate because you're a spouse. How can somebody go to a breath or a therapy, or a coach like yourself or whatever, and be like, yo, I'm here to do like some, we're gonna do some breath work and some mindset training for spouses. Oh man, hey, how long have you been married? I'm not married. Bro! You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's why you're good at what you do. That's why God put in my heart for this, because guess what? You got to have those life experiences, and like being like what you're doing. Man, now I know what you do. So guess what? When I have somebody asking, especially a female or something, I'm going to refer.
That's very kind.
Because you could relate, Erin. And that's what it's about, is being able to relate and be empathetic to that. Yeah. Not just sympathetic, but empathy into it.
Very much.
And that's what helps.
Yeah.
That's the difference maker.
Yeah. And that is sort of, one of the reasons why I do sort of put myself in that space, because like I was a first responder and I've been married to one for over 10 years. So it's like, I literally get it from all sides. I know what it's like to be the asshole first responder coming home and being in a bad mood and not want to talk. And I know what it's like to be on the receiving end of that, and allowing them some grace and some understanding, but also knowing when to call them out on their bullshit and be like, okay, like you're acting like kind of a dick right now, or you're being really short with the kids. What's going on with you? What do we have to talk about? Are you just tired and, fatigued and exhausted, or is something else going on? Let's sort it out. So.
And that's the difference too. You also have kids. So not just your spouse, but you're the kids. So helping couples with kids. Boom, check the block. No, am I right or wrong though? Seriously, how can you help a family with kids?
Yeah, I mean, you don't understand
and being able to relate. I mean, I'm not saying a person can't help them with that. Yeah. But I'm saying you are more relatable to them because you wear that hat also.
There's a different level of insight and understanding and like you're saying, empathy and compassion that kind of comes along with it. You really just and you kind of look. I think it's really important you meet people where they are, and whether that is having something in common or whether just having that level of empathy that you can just be there for that person. But it's I just feel, and clearly, you obviously feel the same. Like I care passionately about this community, about the spouses, about the first responders, about, the kids and just everyone. It's not to say I don't care about, other people, but I feel like it's a unique niche and we have unique experiences. And I think having that level of understanding and insight into what it is like to be in this world is truly very important. And you're obviously, it's exactly the same.
100%. I totally agree. Yeah. I couldn't agree more. Well said. Yes.
Thank you. And so your book, I know you said it's very close to, and you're just kind of working on so just explain it just very briefly, like it's the book and then you're working on an accompanying journal to pair with it, is that right? Yes,
man. The book is already completed. And it's a short one. It's like 68 pages. Yeah. And it's nothing that's going to be like, oh my God. Like, you pick up books and you get discouraged by it. It's not like a Harry Potter book, even though I read the book. Don't tell no one. Those are like, it's it's geared towards the veterans and the cops, man.
Yeah.
You know, we want dragnet to the point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But also, it's an easy read, which I feel is important. You know, and then from here they can actually dive more into it later. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm decided, like, I'll put in my heart and say, yo, make a journal. That way they could get more out of the book.
Yeah.
So that's the only reason why this has not been released now. It's good. Well, I'm praying it's going to happen by the end of next week, where I should be done with the journal part. And it's going to basically talk about the different breathing techniques as well as the benefits.
Yeah.
And I think that's important because somebody may want something for stress. Oh, this type of breathing. Or for trauma or PTSD, this type of breathing. Like the benefits of those, of the specific exercises and such. And then it's going to have a part on it that says, what were you expecting? How did you feel?
Yeah.
Did it, you know, that's so you're going to journal it because I feel journaling too in general is very therapeutic. Super important.
Oh yeah,
It's
super cathartic, just getting it out.
Yes. And it's a way to release. Even if people haven't done it, guys, if you haven't done it, journal. Journal. Men and women. I say guys, but that's in general.
Yeah.
For everybody. You know, journaling helps. It's a way to release things that we keep inside. Even though I strongly feel that you should talk to people.
Yeah.
Talk to therapists. But just journaling. Journal about your day. You know what I mean? Journal about a certain idea, a certain topic. You know, and you could also refer back to it because you could be journaling about an idea you have for a business, or you could be journaling about the day you had, and then you can reflect on that later and be like, damn, I don't want to have a day like that again, you know, but but take it a step further, and how was my mood when I first started journaling? So make a note on that.
Yeah.
What's my current state? And then at the end of the day, you know, start your journal off. This is just an idea, a practice. Start your journal off early, write how you're feeling. Then at the very end of the day, write the other part.
Yes.
But also try to look for, if you had a shit day, why don't you look at a good part of your day? Yeah. What was a good part? You know, wake up, what are you grateful for? Some people, man, I'm just grateful to be alive. Or I'm grateful to have this, you know, look forward to having this interview with Erin. You know, people have their own different things they're grateful for. So wake up, have an attitude of gratitude. Find something that you're grateful for. Then at the end of the day, you can have a crappy, shitty, beep, 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 day. You know? But I guarantee you, you can have the worst day of your life. And you will definitely have one good thing to come out of it. And for example, and I'll tell people, well, bro, I had a shitty day at work. This and this. Bro, there's nothing positive about this day. I could say, really? Are you at work right now? Are you at work right now? No. Isn't that something to be happy about? Yeah. You just had a crappy day. Or you could be thankful, man, my day sucked, but at least I got a job, man.
Yeah. Or you woke up. Not everyone wakes up every day.
Always find something at the end of a shitty day. Yeah. So when you wake up, start the morning with gratitude, and the evening with gratitude as well. Yeah. Find something good. Don't go to bed with that negative energy, that negative vibe, those negative thoughts. Yeah. Find something good. Man, I had a crappy day, but guess what? Look who's lying right next. Yeah. That's the highlight of the day. You know, things like that. You know what I'm saying? Come home, your family. Man, I had a crappy day, and then you see that daughter, that little mini me. You know, she's probably gonna ask you for money for something, but you stuff. Now that you're gonna take, I got the money. The job's gonna give you that. You know, there's a lot. There's a lot, yeah. And trust me, after going through what I went through, I realized there's a lot to be. We have a lot of blessings in our life. Mm-hmm. You know, you don't got to be rich, you got to be a millionaire. You got your riches and treasures in other ways. But start the day off, guys, with an attitude of gratitude and end your day. Find something positive, especially if you have a crappy day, the worst day of your life. Trust me, think there's something positive at that day. Yeah. Either the day's over, or you're home to your family, or guess what, man, I'm crappy day now. I'm going to go celebrate my sister's birthday with. Yeah. Whatever.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I think as
change your mindset.
Oh, change yeah. But, you know, like we're talking about, you know, like the catharsis of writing it down. Like I even know from, you know, personal experience, like whether you're writing something, about work as like a first responder or like a personal thing, it's like there is a level of heaviness that a lot of us carry, and when you put it down on paper, there is like a physical weight that you feel after you have like alleviated your mind and your heart and your soul and every aspect of you when you put it down on paper. And it sounds like fucking frou-frou bullshit, but it's actually not. Like it is. It's something that you actually really deeply feel, and
you're releasing it,
mm-hmm.
and you're releasing it.
Yeah, absolutely.
No more compartmentalizing, people. Release it.
Exactly. And so if you Chris, just give me a heads up when the book's coming out, and I will share it on, all of the platforms, and look forward to being able to purchase it myself.
Thank you.
Great.
That's amazing.
All right. We are coming to the end. So I just do want to say thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me.
It's been lovely. We normally finish these conversations by asking our guests 2 questions. And the premise of it comes from the name of the podcast, I Will Hold Space for Your Darkness. And like we sort of alluded to throughout our conversation about, the weight and the darkness that can, surround us as first responders, as veterans, all of that kind of thing. So the first question that I like to ask is, what do you do to hold space for your darkness?
What do I do to hold space in my darkness? I meditate. I do. I breathe. I put music on, meditation, sound music, or worship music, Christ music. And I just sit. It's either if I'm doing breath work, I'll just do that, like when just hold that space to get there, or I'm listening to worship music and I'm read a Bible verse and I'll just meditate on that. Like I turn a lot to God for that. So He's holding that space, and who better, So, but yeah, and it's funny, I was doing that after, getting saved, but literally, when you sent me that email and you said about the holding the space part, I actually referred back, like, damn, this is what I do. And it's funny you asked that. Like, I didn't realize I was actually doing this, which somebody wouldn't consider it. Like, you wouldn't think it's that until the question gets asked. It's like, you just shined light on what I was doing, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? So that's amazing that you asked it, because that made me realize, wow. So yeah.
Oh, there you go. I'm very grateful and thankful to have shone that light on it for you.
And that you know what, it does, because now I could honestly say to when talking about, hey, how do you get somebody to hold space? Because it's true.
Yeah.
It's so true. But I was doing it, but not realizing what was being done, like a more direct word, and complete sentence to it. You know what I mean? If that makes sense.
100%. Absolutely. And the second question, which you may have already answered clearly, because you feel that God helps you a lot in this respect, but what can someone do to support you in the best way possible for holding space for that darkness for you?
Man, mine's just, I turn to God, but just having that person be non-judgmental, whether it's mine's God, which he took the sinners, you know what I mean? So he didn't turn nobody away. But when you ask that question, it made me think, like, man, this always made me think, what the heck? But having somebody you trust, non-judgmental, and also having someone, just, you can be, don't talk, just be here for them. That's my opinion on having there and the importance. To have somebody that's capable of that. And you have to trust. Because we have people in our lives that they're there. We have very few, especially being first responders and veterans, that we trust. Trust is something that's earned. It's not given. You got to earn that.
Absolutely.
And when you have that, people should understand when somebody gives you that level of trust, You need to nurture that, value that, like you just won an Olympic gold medal.
Yeah, and not betray it.
Ever. Because there's people out there that don't value that. So when you have somebody like that can hold that space for you, man, you're blessed beyond compare. You're blessed beyond compare, and realize that. The people need to realize that, because that's your go-to right there, man. You know, that's your go-to person that could just be there, non-judgmental, be like, boom, moment's notice, got you, I got you.
Absolutely.
You want my opinion? No, but I just need to listen. They know right then and there. Boom, you know.
No, 100%, and it's something that we all need. We all need at different times in our life. So
1,000,000%.
Absolutely. All right, Chris, we will wrap it up from here. Thank you so much for your time today. I do really appreciate it.
No, thank you. It went longer than I thought, and it was amazing. Like, I didn't think it was, but it was that amazing. And if I could just say one thing at the end, it's like, guys, if you ever see me, if you're in Miami or I go visit another state to speak or whatever the case may be, guys, if you want hit, just run into me.
You want yes. I almost forgot. Babe, little mini Jesus. What is it?
Micro
Jesus.
Baby Jesus, mini Jesus, pocket Jesus, micro Jesus. Guys, you see me and you're like, yo, what's up with the micro Jesus? Hey, don't be surprised. You see me under, especially if you're an officer, first responder, or veteran. I'm going to be, whoop. Hey, you mind if I give you some? Micro. He loves you, man, and I love you. So, yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Thank you for remembering. I always forgot. All right. Yes. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Micro Jesus, for your time today. I really appreciate it.
No, this was amazing. Thank you.
All right. This has been another episode of I Will Hold Space for Your Darkness. I've been your host, Erin Jane. And as always, let me listen in a way you've never been heard. Cheers.
Bye, guys.
Hi, guys. It's Erin Jane here. Firstly, thank you for listening to I Will Hold Space for Your Darkness. This podcast really is for you, the listener. And I hope you're finding as much value in listening to these conversations as I am in having them. If you'd like to offer any feedback, suggest a subject matter, are interested in being a podcast guest, or would like to get in contact to receive first responder life and wellness coaching services, please reach out. You can find me on Instagram at Erin Jane Coaching or the dedicated podcast account, ErinJane_Darkness Podcast, or my website, www.erinjanecoaching.com. I look forward to hearing from you, and I'm so grateful to have you as part of this darkness community. Cheers.